Have you ever been just lost in thought or stuck in ADHD paralysis, and then someone walks in the room and you're like, oh crap, I was supposed to be doing this, the laundry, I was supposed to be making dinner, I was supposed to be making that phone call, and you like jump in and you get started because you don't want to look like a bump on a log? Me too. Let's discuss. Are you overwhelmed by motherhood and barely keeping your head above water? Are you confused and frustrated by how all the other moms make it look so easy? You can't figure out how to manage the chaos in your mind, your home, or your family. I get you, mama. Parenting with ADHD is hard. Here is your permission slip to let go of the Pinterest-worthy visions of organization and structure fit for everyone else. Let's do life like our brains do life. Creatively, lovingly, and with all our might. When we embrace who we are and how our brains work, we can figure out how to live our lives successfully and, in turn, lead our families well. At the end of the day, we just want to be good moms. But, spoiler alert, you are already a great mom. ADHD does not mean you're doomed to be a hot mess, mama. You can rewrite your story from shame spiral to success story. And I'll be right here beside you to cheer you on. Welcome to Motherhood in ADHD. Before we dive into this week's episode, let's read our review of the week. Now, I am very excited because I finally figured out how to go view the reviews from other countries. Because when you go into Apple Podcasts, you can only see where you live. And I figured it out how to go find them. Took some hunting. And so now I have all these review of the weeks to read from all the people from other countries, but they're from years ago. And this one is from my sweet friend Sandra, who I miss. I haven't talked to in a little while. She hasn't been super active on Instagram recently, but either way, I miss her. And here's her review. It's called So Helpful for Me. I love how the episodes are so jam-packed with great advice and actionable steps. She's really helped me see that there are so many little things I can do, and they've made a big difference in working with my ADHD. Now, I am so honored by this. Also, I'm sad that it's literally taking me 4 years to read this because this review is from 2019. And since then, Sandra has started. Since then? Was it right before that? I can't remember now exactly when. But around this time is when Sandra started her podcast, which is Neurodivergent Narratives. It is amazing. You should go listen to it. She and I started on this podcast circuit around the same time, and I just adore her. So go listen to her podcast. Okay, let's jump into this week's episode. So I was wrong. I admit it, I was wrong. For a long time, I hated body doubling. I thought it was so dumb. Prided myself in getting my stuff done myself. I'm a self-starter. I don't need to meet people. Don't tell me what to do and when to show up. And also a little bit anxious about other people seeing me do stuff. But this was all a cover-up because I've actually been using it all the time and I wasn't self-aware enough to realize that I was. So what is body doubling? It's basically being able to do some kind of task that's difficult or boring because someone else is there with you. It could be a coworker, it could be a friend, it could be someone in your family. But it's a really helpful way for us to stay motivated and on task. In a lot of ways, it could be, meeting up for coffee and working side by side next to a friend. It can be having your partner there in the kitchen while you work on the taxes. It can be working on a virtual co-working call online where you're both doing completely different things, but checking in with each other regularly. It can be in person or it can be virtual. The point of the body doubling isn't to collaborate on the task and for them to help you do it. It's to have built-in accountability that you actually get the thing done. Now, body doubling isn't an official term. There's not a bunch of research on it yet. It's a fairly newer term that came from the ADHD community. But there are a few ideas about why it's so helpful for us. So first of all, it is proactive. You know how much I think being proactive is really good for our brains. When you're constantly reacting to everything all day long and you're living in that whack-a-mole lifestyle, then you're just dealing with whatever appears and not what you want to do. Whereas when you choose to body double and make the plan to do that thing at a certain time, you're becoming proactive. They had a study at the Dominican University of California where they found whenever you write down your goal, you are 42% more likely to achieve it. So body doubling kind of layers on that, where like you're writing it down because you're making a plan to go do it, but now you also have like a set time to also get it done. So it makes it more likely that you will actually do the thing because you're planning for it. There's also like the positive feelings, which increases our motivation. Like when you're dreading something and you're frustrated by it and you're just like, ugh, do I have to do it? This is where we can get in our head and get overwhelmed and paralyzed with fear. But when we pair the task with like, oh, I'm excited to go see that friend and like be around them, you're automatically making that thing more enjoyable where you actually want to show up by increasing all the feel-good chemicals running around your brain. They also think that perhaps body doubling may activate mirror neurons. So mirror neurons are a part of your brain that fires the same way whether we actually perform the action or we witness the action. Like, you know, if you ever see somebody like just like eat it and they fall like flat on their face and you feel that sensation of like, oh, that must have hurt. Like those are mirror neurons at work where you can feel that connection to the activity that you didn't actually do. But scientists think that this kind of like connects us together with our like empathy and social connection. Like, so when you see your friend sitting next to you getting to work calmly doodly-doo on her laptop, you see that person that you like, that you trust, perform the action. It's like, oh, okay, like I can do that too. And it feels more doable. And in a few minutes, when you get off track and realize all of a sudden you're like down a Google rabbit hole and you see that person looking at you, or like they kind of like shift in their chair and it catches your attention. You're like, oh, right, I'm supposed to be doing this thing over here. It helps you remember like, oh, right, this is what I'm doing right now. You can like infuse the Pomodoro technique in there of like you work for 25 minutes and then you have 5 minutes to like chat and enjoy and spend time with that person or grab a cup of coffee and then dig back in again. Like that person is like a physical reminder of what you need to be doing at that time. Even if they're not doing the same thing as you, the fact that they're looking at you, you're like, oh, right, I'm supposed to be doing this. Now, there are some caveats here. There are some things that you want to look for in your body double. Like you want to make sure the person is trustworthy and they're reliable. Like they're actually going to show up on time and they're not going to cancel at the last minute. Like obviously life happens, but like, is it a repetitive issue? Are they going to be positive, supportive, encouraging? Are they going to also be able to stay on task and focused and calm? And are they non-judgmental? Like you feel comfortable around them and you're not going to be anxious the whole time. Like, oh, are they judging me because I started doing something different? Having that set time set aside to get something specific done that you'd like to get done but aren't maybe that excited about is a really great way to motivate yourself forward. Even if you don't get the whole thing done in that time that you set aside, having that positive momentum of like going in the right direction makes it easier to pick up that project again later because you have these positive feelings associated with it. Are you constantly scrambling to get things done? You never seem to have quite enough time to do it all, and it feels like you're drinking from a fire hose. And then you get mad at yourself because you should have been ready because you knew about that birthday party or that field trip or that vacation for a long time now, and yet somehow you still aren't ready. As ADHD moms, we spend a lot of time living reactively. You're playing whack-a-mole throughout the day, dealing with one emergency or surprise after another. You feel like you don't even have time to catch your breath. This is a really stressful way to live every day. The hard part is that we live in the now, not the not now. And all those things, the birthday party, the vacation, the field trip, they're all not now until suddenly they are now. How do you move those things from not now to now before they are emergency now? By doing some proactive planning. Every month, I look ahead at what's coming up so that my brain recognizes that it's coming soon. It brings the not now into the now temporarily. I'm sharing this tried and true strategy with you, so head over to my website, patriciasung.com/monthahead. It's all one word, monthahead, lowercase letters, and you can download it for free. How in just 10-15 minutes, you can walk through what's coming up and help your brain move from reactive to proactive. This 10 or 15 minute activity once a month saves future me tons of hours of stress and panic. And I want that for you too. So go to my website, patriciasung.com/monthahead, and grab your free ADHD friendly strategy, which is my secret on how I overcome time blindness and lower your stress a whole bunch. Future you will thank you so much in a couple of weeks. So go grab it now. patriciasung.com/monthahead. MONTHAHEAD. Now, if you listen back to the episode in November where we were talking about like making goal setting ADHD friendly, this is one of the things that I talked about. Accountability is like a really funky word because it has to be after the fact. Someone holding you accountable is after the fact. But we don't actually want somebody like coming behind after the fact being like, where were you? What did you do? Stuff. Like, that's not what we're looking for. What we want is like a reason to show up to that time that sounds fun, that sounds great, sounds positive. This is the whole reason we've been meeting with Successful Mama Meetups is like we spend 30 minutes planning our week and then we spend 30 minutes hanging out, doing something fun. And because you want to hang out with those people, you want to meet other moms who get how you work. You want to feel like you're not the only one who's like this. Having those positive feelings associated with the meeting makes it like, hey, I actually want to show up and do these things. I want to invite you there. This is virtual. You can show up on Zoom from anywhere in the world and you don't have to have an official diagnosis. If you suspect that these things might help you, then come on. And also, there's no homework here. Like, you're never going to get behind because there's nothing you need to do outside of the meeting. You do what you can do in the time that we're together. If you have time to work on it some more later, fine, but you don't have to. The whole point here is we're like building the muscle of how do we plan? How do we get ready for the week ahead? As you build that muscle, as you get better and better, it goes faster and faster. It gets easier and easier. There will be a point where you can schedule your whole week in that 30 minutes. It actually only takes me about 15 minutes of the meeting to plan my week because I've been doing it for years. But that is possible. Like, that is on the horizon for you to be able to plan your whole week in 15, 30 minutes. It's like, oh, what? Yes, it's possible. And this is where we start, by building those muscles. But then in the second half, it's fun. We hang out. It's different every week because we got ADHD. We got to make it interesting, right? So like sometimes we hang out in small groups. Sometimes we hang out in large groups. Sometimes like once a month, I share on a topic of like 5 to 7 minutes and discuss like, here's my thoughts on this. What do you do that works for you? So like in January, we talked about rest. What does that look like for you? How do you rest? Not one single mom said, I sit and do nothing. No, our resting for ADHD is movement-based. We do things in our rest and they're still restful. They still recharge us. So it's like this amazing ADHD hive mind where you get 25 ideas of how you could rest that sound way better than doing nothing. Next month, our theme for Successful Mama Meetups is listening to yourself and your body. How can you tune in to what matters to you? How do you listen to yourself? A lot of times we spend most of our lives ignoring the signals that from like inside our body because we thought we were wrong. We thought we were picking up the wrong thing because everybody around us was telling us something different. So learning to tune into like, what do you feel? What do you think is the right answer? How do you know? And like closing in on that information is such a beautiful thing when you can trust yourself and trust your decisions. So that's our theme for March. Right now, Successful Mom Meetups is closed, but it's opening next week for the March theme. So I want you to be there. Come join us. You can go to patriciasung.com/meetup. You can read about it, see if it's your thing. Hey, does this sound good? Sure, super fun. Let's go. When you click to enroll, you can drop your name on the wait list to make sure that you got the information when it opens up next week. Or if you're listening to this after the fact, head over there and it should be open. I decided that I don't want it to be closed. I wanted to close it for a while because I need to make sure everything was working right because like technology, y'all, it's always like some kind of hiccup. But now that it's all running smoothly, like I want it to be open all the time. And through like in each month, we have a different theme. So when you hear a theme that sounds good to you and like speaks to you, jump in, come learn about it. I've got something fun planned for our meeting on March 1st because I'm excited to have so many new moms joining in. And then we're going to be talking about this theme of listening to yourself on March 8th. So make sure you've signed up by then so that you can join us for that discussion. Again, that's patriciasung.com/meetup. I'll see you next Wednesday in the meetup, Successful Mama. For more resources, classes, and community, head over to my website, motherhoodinadhd.com.